Ladies and gentlemen, presented by the WZWA Network, it's the Insider's Edge Podcast with your host, Karlifornia.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Insider's Edge Podcast here on the WZWA Network. I'm your host with the most on the West Coast, Karlifornia in Fury. It's a joy to be with you all once again. And speaking of a joy, right here, right now, I get to speak to somebody who's just in demand, so in demand that she's actually in an airport right now, which you can probably hear in the background, because of her multi-talents that she's got within the pro wrestling industry. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the one and only multi-talented Sam Leterna.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. We managed to get this going through a very long, time difference.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes. And I always get the time wrong. I thought we were supposed to do the interview like 4 hours ago, and then I realized I got the time difference way off.
When I have to do like interviews like with the Japanese talent or like talk to my Aussie friends, it gets a little bit dicey. Like I'm messaging them at 7 a.m. and I'll get like a response back 12 hours later.
Yeah, it happens all the time. And it doesn't help that the time zone and the time zones, the time changing over there all the time with daylight savings in the US.
Do you not have daylight savings in Australia?
Not in my city, no, not in Western Australia. I think they change every now and then over east, but over here, never.
Okay. Well, yeah. Good. At least you have to deal with the hassle of it.
That's right. Yeah, because everyone hates it when it becomes that day where you got to get up an hour earlier. But it is what it is. Sam, okay. The first question I always have I always ask everyone on the show. Before you got involved in pro wrestling, how did you become a pro wrestling fan?
Yeah. So I actually started watching wrestling when I was 7 years old. It was a total accident. I had been exposed to War is Raw, the video games in the late 90s through like family friend, but I didn't really know who like the people that I was just, toggling on the controller were. They turned out to be HBK and Stone Cold Steve Austin. But a couple of years later in 2002, my mom had a splice box television, which is an illegal cable network thing that was popular then. And I was just looking for something to watch, and King of the Ring 2002 came on, and it was the night that Brock Lesnar won King of the Ring, and I watched the whole thing. And it was a great experience. I was like, I need more of this, but I didn't really know where to watch. I was like 7 years old. So I just kept going at the same time, same day. And I'd keep seeing these pay-per-views like once a month. And then I learned, okay, wrestling's on TNT, which is what the channel was then, and a couple of other things. But yeah, it's been a long, way more than 20 years of me watching wrestling.
Right, cool. Well, that's like a good place to start, because that's kind of near where I began. Although I began in like 1998, but 2002, nice. I was really into it at that point. So I think that's a good show to start with. So, okay, you're a fan. You're watching it illegally, as me and my friends did too. We did it all the time. My friend had one of those things as well. So it was very helpful, because my mum wasn't going to be able to afford all the pay-per-views every month. There's no way.
No, absolutely not.
There's a time your path of fandom ends up getting you into a position where you want to try and get involved. And from my research, it tells me that maybe you actually started doing some training with Lance Storm. Is that correct?
Yeah. When I was a teenager, I went to a house show at Madison Square Garden, and it really like ignited my passion for like wanting to be more than just a fan. So when the time was right, I actually began training with Johnny Rodz, who is a WWF Hall of Famer in New York City at Gleason's Gym, World of Unpredictable Wrestling, for about 2 years. And then I wanted to expand and grow, and I'd heard so many good things about Lance Storm's school. So I invested a hell of a lot of money to go to Canada, move there for 3 months and train, and it was the best experience of my life. I'm glad that I have a background in wrestling prior to starting broadcasting, because I feel like I do know what wrestlers go through a bit emotionally, psychologically, as well as, just kind of knowing the ins and outs of like how a match can go is definitely helpful for things like commentary. So yeah, and Lance is an awesome person, like inside and outside of the ring. I learned so much from him.
That's great. You know what? It is important, even if your in-ring time didn't go, too long. Like for me, it didn't go too long for me either. But when you start to make contact with pro wrestlers, they find out that you worked a little bit. Then it's a bit easier for them to accept you. Whereas a lot of the time you might be walking in and be like, "Oh, who's this chick? What was she? She was trained by Lance Storm and Johnny Rodz. Okay, forget it. Yeah, she's cool." And it'd be more
it does
like,
lend a
who's
little
this Mark?
definitely.
So
Yeah, I found that like the boys were more likely to like give me an interview when I first started, when sometimes they're a bit weary to do so. So thank you, Lance. Thank you, Johnny.
Yeah, no, very helpful stuff. It's definitely helped me too. Even though I was a weekend warrior. I wasn't in the business. I never got paid to wrestle. I paid to wrestle.
Hey, that's okay, because now you're contributing, doing interviews and stuff like that. There's something for everyone. That's what I think.
That's it. And this is probably the best thing I've ever done as it pertains to wrestling, and what you're doing is so great too. And I'll be honest, you only came onto my radar this year because I've been watching MLW this year. And when you're doing work with Impact, I don't think I was watching back then. But I saw you pop in on NWA Power for a few weeks, and I thought to myself, oh, she's got a cool jacket. Who's she? I've never seen her before. And then a few weeks later, I heard you commentate the Sukeban, I believe it's pronounced, show, which was very cool. So I just wanted to let you know, like, my background in how I got to know who you were. And first opportunity to work on the broadcasting side of things. And also tell me, like, what led to that, trying to, like, stepping out of the ring and moving into the broadcasting side.
Yeah, so I had a couple of really bad concussions that affected my personal life as well as my wrestling life. So because of that, and then a bit of a botched move in an intergender tag match where I suffered a compression fracture in my spine. It could have been way worse. But that's when I started thinking of stepping back. So I haven't wrestled since 2019 at this point, and I stopped being involved in wrestling at all for about 6 months, and I was feeling kind of down. And as a lot of people on the internet know, Masha Slamovich is one of my dear friends and one of my biggest supporters. One day we were working at this restaurant and I was crying in the coat check because I still wanted to be a part of wrestling. And she was like, you can still do this. Why don't you start a podcast? You've always been great at talking. Like, maybe this is your calling. So I decided to start Wrestle Tea in 2020. And within a couple of weeks of starting that, Mike Quackenbush from Chikara contacted me, little known anything, wrestler or broadcaster, to be the host for Action Arcade, which was the new series that they were going to be putting out in 2020. And the rest is history after that. I kind of chomped my teeth at Chikara and learned a lot. It was like a crash course because Quack does have very high standards, but and then just Camp Leapfrog from there. If anyone's familiar, it's on IWTV. Doesn't exist anymore, but it was a fun little pandemic, slightly cinematic wrestling idea that myself and a gentleman named Chris Levin had. So kind of went from doing broadcasting stuff to producing and creating wrestling shows while hosting said wrestling shows. And then IWTV gave me a chance, and that really was when everything started to pick up.
That's so cool. That must be so exciting when all of a sudden things are picking up and now you're getting opportunities with all these great wrestling companies. So Impact Wrestling, MLW, NWA, from what I've seen, how would you compare the experiences of working in these three different companies?
So, I don't want to give too much tea. No, I'm joking. I had great experiences at all three. With MLW, it was like my first glimpse of anything TV related, and I was super nervous, so I just wanted to do a good job. The locker room is like a great supportive locker room. I know that I had the respect of my peers there, and I think that the powers that be there, after a couple of months, really started to put faith into me to help produce segments and give my input. So grateful for that creative outlet that MLW gave me. And getting to agent like one or two of their in-ring promo segments, which is really cool as a woman and as a broadcaster. NWA, I was only there for one weekend of tapings to replace May Valentine that weekend. May's fantastic. That's her gig. But while I was there, everyone was so nice. Really fun locker room. I also loved that there was the camaraderie after, because we were all just kind of shooting the shit for a couple of days after shows and having fun at the hotel. And it was a locker room. I wasn't familiar with a lot of people, but everyone welcomed me in with open arms. All the Midwesterners and the Southerners, you know, I'm from the Northeast, so that's kind of my beat. And like, I know West Coast people, so it's great to be welcomed in. And then Impact, never thought I'd get to work there. Was so grateful for the opportunity. Obviously my friend Masha's there. A lot of people I work with on the indies are there. So I did feel comfortable. And everyone was very professional. And I love that, you know, everyone kind of understands the assignment there. It's like, this is what I have to do. This is my task and I'm going to do it. So I don't feel like people need to be micromanaged there. And I think that they really liked me because I'm going to be back in January. So I'm excited to see what the future holds with Impact and, you know, everything related to the indies in 2024.
That is exciting to hear. Very cool stuff. You know, when you showed up on NWA Power, I'm someone who fears change. And I'm like, where's May Valentine? Where is she? Who's this Sam Leterna? And then when like she came back and I'm like, oh, where's Sam? Where did she go?
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, a lot of the girls and boys at NWA were like, where's May? Are you taking her job? And I'm like, no, I'm not taking her job. Like, huge fan of May. I had met her at conventions once or twice. And from what I understand, she just had a very important commitment. And I'm grateful that, you know, Billy and the powers that be wanted me to be that person that weekend. And if they ever need me, if May ever wants to take a vacation, I'm here for it. But May does a fantastic job, and NWA is in good hands on the broadcast front.
Absolutely. And I wanted to bring it to the commentary because I watched that Sukeban show. For those who are out there who aren't aware, it's Bull Nakano's kind of US-based Japanese women's wrestling company. How did you enjoy that experience?
I was super nervous ahead of doing it just because I understand that like there are different styles in wrestling, right? American, English, Japanese, etc. Lucha. So you have to call on commentary slightly differently and understand the ebbs and flows of those matches. And unpopular opinion, but I never grew up being a huge fan of Japanese wrestling or Joshi until I got into wrestling. So my knowledge compared to like people who've been like watching New Japan and All Japan for the past like 20 years, you know, and Noah and all these places, DDT, it just wasn't in the same, I didn't have the same knowledge quotient. So I just went into it nervous because there was that variable of, you know, I didn't want the Japanese talent to like be upset, you know, we treat them with a lot of reverence here in the States. So I just wanted to do a good job. But Emi Sakura came up to me at the end of the show and she's like, oh, very good, very good. So I'm super excited about that because I'm pretty sure that she does a lot. She's quite involved there. So all in all, it's great. And I had an awesome commentary partner in Beta Scott, who has substantially more experience calling some Japanese style matches. So it all worked out.
That's good. Yes. No, because you know, I watched the show and you two made me laugh quite a bit. I thought you did a great job. I didn't know anyone on the roster really, so I was going to it brand new. I'm kind of a tourist in Japanese pro wrestling as well, so I'm just
starting
to play. Okay, I wanted to talk to you about this because I'm very passionate about this. It's about the backstage interview. Okay, and this is something that's kind of your bread and butter a little bit here. And there's one thing that is it's a pet peeve of mine, and I'm seeing wrestling companies all over now. They're utilizing this kind of cut and paste technique that they do every week. I find it to be a lazy thing, and I want to know your opinion on it. Here's Sam Leterna. She's backstage. She's interviewing somebody. You ask a question. 10 seconds into the question being answered, all of a sudden somebody walks into the shot and interrupts, and then there's a confrontation between the two wrestlers. It happens on NXT, AEW, WWE terribly. Sometimes Impact, not so much NWA. But for me, it is my biggest pet peeve. I can't stand it. Have you noticed yourself that this is quite prevalent in pro wrestling? And what do you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's certain like entry points and exit points for interviews. Like there's like a finite amount of scenarios that currently exist that are very common within wrestling. So that one, the interruption being a very, very big one. I personally don't mind. I think I minded a little bit more when I was still up and coming. I mean, I am up and coming still, but like greener as a broadcaster because I wanted those opportunities to say the full question and, you know, practice my delivery and perhaps not be interrupted by Matt Cardona. No, I'm just kidding. I love Matt. He's awesome. But literally every time we do an interview, I'm like, so the usual. And he just cuts me off halfway through and does his thing. But really at this point, like, I think whatever is best for like the show is what should be done in the interview. And I generally trust the producers to do that. And if I'm working on the indies, I'm the producer. So I kind of just try and get the creative juices flowing in that sense and not do like an interruption of the interview, like wrestler A is interviewing with Sam and then wrestler B comes in and they're fighting. You got to change it and kind of, I try and realize like, okay, if I worked Wrestling Open, for example, last week, if I were to be there this Thursday, I likely wouldn't do a confrontation like that again, right? Because unless it made sense and like things were escalating and maybe there was a stable member and, you know, so stable member B is now going to attack person from the other stable. I don't know, some stuff like that. It is annoying. I get it. But at the end of the day, I'm just there to do my job. So unless there's something that's very strikingly off that would, in my opinion, be of detriment to the show, I'm just there to talk.
No, fair enough. The fact I had the chance to talk to somebody who does this for a job, it was more selfishly for me to vent to you about it, because last episode of NXT, it happened 3 times. I'm like, somebody please let Mackenzie Mitchell get through her interview.
Oh my gosh.
I feel bad for them sometimes. Poor Gia Miller, she's trying to ask a question and here comes someone else screaming and carrying on. And I'm like, these ladies are trying to get the scoop and you'll ruin it for them.
I know. Sometimes the scoop is never meant to be had. Let's just say that within wrestling.
Yep, fair enough. Okay, well, we're getting slightly close to the end of the interview here, Sam. I know you've got a flight to catch.
I'm chill.
You're so in demand, you know. But it's this has been really fun, and I want to know a few more little things about you.
Sure.
Biggest goals that you have ahead of you, even the smallest of goals that you might have on that bucket list as far as progression in your career.
So I'm a very goal-oriented person. So I just want to continue like growing within the confines of wrestling. Right now, my immediate goal is to grow within Impact, TNA, I mean, starting in 2024. Never thought I'd say that, geez. But yeah, to grow with that company, I think there's a lot of opportunities there. Right now, I'm just doing their digital media content, but you never know, there could be an opportunity to be the on-air interviewer if Gia is, say, put into a commentary position or something. She's doing color for Behind the Impact and she's doing a great job. So yeah, just growing with Impact. I'm going to be starting my own podcast, which is something I'm excited about. It's going to have to do with wrestling history and probably have rotating hosts and guests. I kind of let the Wrestle Tea like interview stuff go about 2 years ago when I started to get more on-air work, which was probably not a mistake, but I could have focused my energy on, you know, YouTube and digital media as well as the on-air. So kind of going into that and giving a layer of myself that fans don't already know from like my prim and proper presentation on television. So those are 2 things I'm really excited about. And yeah, a long-term goal. I mean, you never know what the future holds, but it would be really awesome to be like a woman commentating in a play-by-play position at a major company for one of their marquee pay-per-views. That is definitely a long-term goal for me, and I'm going to do it.
Well, you know, this is things need to happen for the first time, and there have been female commentators, but no one has done the play-by-play. No one has been in charge of the proceedings. So I'm in your corner. I'm in your corner, Sam, because I really thought that you 2 ladies did a great job on that show for Sukeban. I always panic before saying it because I think we're going to say it wrong, even though I know I know how to say it.
So just so you know, it's not pronounced Sukeban.
Oh, Jesus.
I didn't want to correct you, but it's pronounced Sukeban.
Sukeban. Well, it should be spelled
I had no idea.
SKU or SKE.
I know. I meticulously wrote down everyone's names for the show, got the Japanese translation because there's no way you're going to mess up a Japanese talent's name or the show name. So that's the only reason I know. I say Sukeban when I'm not on the call, but it's Sukeban.
Okay, it's Sukeban. Okay, now I know. Now I know. This whole time you allowed me to make a fool of myself, Sam.
No, I just didn't want to, make you feel silly.
I'm terrible. I'm Australian. We're terrible at pronouncing anything. So
I love my Aussies. Two of my closest friends from training at Lance's are from Melbourne and from oh my God, where's Eli? He's in Adelaide.
right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Melbourne's
don't
all
know if
right.
you're familiar,
Adelaide.
the Pareja, you know the Pareja? The tag team, the Pareja?
It sounds familiar. I will admit I kind of ignore Australian
If you ever
wrestling.
run
I don't
into
know
them,
why.
tell them Sam says hey.
I will. I will. I got to get more into the Australian stuff because I feel like I'm becoming a bit of a snob. But I shouldn't be. I should be. I should be more.
I
I don't know.
the Australian scene's an interesting one from what I understand. So
It
yeah.
is. It is. From what I hear, that they're all arguing with each other over East. But over here in Perth, it seems like it's quite a nice little atmosphere with everyone. Okay, well that's
Good.
cool. Is there anything else that you'd like to plug?
Let's see. Well, keep an eye out on my social media on Instagram at Sam Leterna, on Twitter at Sam Leterna. I'm going to be releasing a podcast come the new year, so stay tuned for that. Also, my last indies of the year, Sukeban, this Thursday. It'll be streaming live. Check out the Sukeban Twitter for info on that. And then I will be at Limitless Wrestling for their end of year show on December 16th. It's going to be streaming live on IWTV. Limitless is my home, so please support them. And in January, after taking a wonderful 2-week break, I am going to be at Hard to Kill when TNA comes back, baby. We're live in Las Vegas, Nevada at the Palms Resort and Casino. And the day after, we have Snake Eyes, which is our TV taping for TNA. So check it out, guys. I would love to see you there or know that you're watching.
Awesome, Sam. And we've got one final segment here on the show, and I know you can do this. It's supposed to be quick fire questions for quick fire answers. I want to learn about your favorite things. Okay. Are you ready?
Okay. Yes, I'm ready.
Sam Leterna, do you have a favorite professional wrestler of all time?
Randy Orton.
Excellent choice. When you did wrestle, who would you say was your favorite opponent?
My favorite opponent was, oh, that's hard. I really enjoyed Chris Statlander and Masha.
Excellent. I thought you might say Chris because I saw that you two had worked quite a bit.
Yeah, we wrestled.
If you have one match that you can look back on during your time in the ring, what was your favorite?
My favorite match that I was a part of?
Yeah.
A match that I'm really proud of is from Angel Gate Wrestling, myself versus Nikki Victory. Stylistically, we both really appreciate chain wrestling and European style, so we got to do that. And I feel like that was my best match just from a technical aspect.
Very nice. Now we're moving into the arts. Favorite book?
Favorite book? Ooh, that's hard. I just love historical fiction as a whole. And like biographies, big into like Tudor biographies, like English dynastic history. And then just as of late, if anyone's trying to like really put a boost into their 2024, You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero teaches you about developing good habits and kind of, looking to your future in a positive light and changing your mind to change your life. So I would say I'd recommend that one.
Okay, very cool. Do you have a favorite TV show?
Ooh, it's embarrassing. Anything reality TV related. I watch a lot of mind-numbing reality TV when I am home. The Bachelor franchise is probably like my guilty pleasure. Yeah, so that.
Okay, that's cool. By the way, don't feel embarrassed. The homicidal, suicidal, genocidal Sabu's favorite show is like The Real Housewives of New York or something like. I don't know.
Are you serious?
Yes, I couldn't believe it when he told me.
I cannot wait to meet him in person and talk about it because I just finished the last season.
Awesome. Do you have a favorite film?
Favorite film? I do, but off the top of my head, I can't think of it. Let's see. Let's think. Wow. Yeah, I'm having a brain fart, but I love comedies. Oh, okay. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days is like one of my all-time favorites. And Eat, Pray, Love is really good. And then what's that? Crazy Stupid Love, romantic comedy. That one's one of my favorites. Nice.
That's also a good one. I agree.
Yeah, as you can see, I'm not going for the Oscar-winning stuff. I'm going for the comedy, the lighthearted stuff.
That's okay. Favorite musical artist or band?
Ooh, okay. So right now, Queen Herbie, American rapper and lyricist, great stuff. Kind of like that boss babe vibe music when you need a hype up. And then of all time, one of my all-time favorites, you'll like this because you're an Aussie, AC/DC. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Get away from the arts now. Favorite food?
Ooh, I love dumplings. Dumplings are my absolute favorite food. I get them at least once a week. It's a problem because I eat a lot of spicy food, but it's great. Yeah, dumplings.
Yeah, no, fantastic choice. Favorite place to eat on the road?
Wawa, Cookout. Yeah, Wawa and Cookout. Those are my two favorites. And Cracker Barrel, but no one ever wants to go to Cracker Barrel. We never have time.
Oh, bugger.
Yeah.
Well, there's some nice choices there. Favorite alcoholic beverage, and if you don't drink, just a favorite beverage in general.
So I'm a little bit of a cocktail snob. I like a drink called the Aviation. It's a gin-based drink with a little bit of creme d'Yvette, which is a lavender liqueur. It's really nice, easy to drink, gets you pretty sloshed. Be careful.
All right, okay, I'll take note of that in case I ever have one. Second last one, it could be considered a naughty one, but sometimes a very, nice answer could come out. You never know, depends who you're interviewing. But this is favorite male body part or attribute. Something like, you see a good-looking guy, Sam. What will Sam look at first when she sees a good-looking guy?
Oh, I already know what I'm going to say. I like a good calf. I love a good calf. It's probably because I've been watching wrestling since I was 7 years old, but I like a man with a nice developed calf right there. Not too big, not like a turkey leg, but some nice definition there. Like I will literally, yesterday I was walking my dog and I did a double take, not because the guy was cute, but I literally looked at his calves and I was like, damn, those are some good calves. So definitely calves get me. Yeah, there's a running joke that I will not say, but there's a wrestler with very nice catted calves and good stuff. Anyway, all right.
Excellent. You know what? That's the first time, and I think this is interview number 175 for my podcast. I think that's the first time.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you very much. And Sam, look, you seem like a nice lady. The last one here, though, favorite curse word. I don't know if you curse very often.
I do actually. I never curse on air. It's like something I'm pretty against, but yeah, I curse like a sailor. I do really like the C word in America. It's very very frowned upon. Mm-hmm. I know in Australia it's like, you sick C word and like everyone says it, Yeah. My Aussie friends actually got me into that when I was spending 3 months with them. Now I say the C word and my mom's like, stop it. But yeah, that, and I love the word bitch. I'll say it out loud now because I don't mean it in like a derogatory way. Like I'll go up to a girlfriend of mine whom I love and I'll say, bitch, what's up? So I think it's a nice term of endearment. Not everyone agrees with me, but yeah.
No, I get it. See, bitch can be that way, a term of endearment, just like the C word is here in Australia.
Exactly.
How you going?
And you'll know if it's meant to, exactly. And you'll know if it's meant as an insult or something endearing based on context. But that's what I think.
Excellent, Sam. Well, fantastic answers there to find out about your favorite things. And we've come to the end of the interview here, Sam. What good fun this has been. And I really look forward to hopefully one day bringing you back on in the future after you've accomplished more goals and ticked off more things off that bucket list. I believe in you, Sam Leterna. I believe in you.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. And good luck with the podcasting. Let's get to episode 200, right? And then 300. So we all have to have goals. I appreciate your time. And yeah, if you ever want to interview me again, just shoot me a message on Twitter.
Wonderful, Sam. Thank you very much again. And thank all of you out there for joining me here and my new friend, Sam Leterna, here on the Insider's Edge podcast, Karlifornia. And guess what? I will see you all next time. Thank you.
Network, that's the way we play. Good God Almighty. Network, that's the way we play. Get puppies. Network, that's the way we play. Get.
The following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.